Some people don't enter a room and immediately become the center of attention. They don't tell the loudest stories. They don't try to dominate conversations. Yet people hesitate before speaking to them. Questions become more careful. Jokes become more measured. And strangers often assume they're difficult to approach. What's interesting is that this reaction usually has very little to do with who they actually are. It begins long before anyone has enough information to know their personality. The human mind is constantly making predictions. When information is missing, it fills the gaps. Sometimes those predictions are surprisingly accurate. Other times, they couldn't be further from the truth. If you've ever been called intimidating, serious, or hard to read, you may have experienced this pattern without realizing it. The surprising part is that intimidation isn't always created by confidence. Sometimes it's created by uncertainty, other people's uncertainty. Many conversations begin with small emotional signals, a smile, a laugh, a quick nod. These tiny moments reassure the other person that everything is going well. But naturally reserved people often skip these signals without intending to. They aren't upset, they aren't judging anyone, they're simply observing before they respond. The problem is that uncertainty makes people uncomfortable. When someone can't easily read your emotions, they often invent an explanation. The explanation isn't always correct, but it feels correct. The pattern is simple. When people can't predict you, they often become cautious around you. Silence affects different people in different ways. Some experience it as peace. Others experience it as pressure. Many people speak quickly simply because silence makes them nervous. They aren't sharing because they have something important to say. They're sharing because talking reduces uncertainty. If you're comfortable letting a conversation breathe, other people may mistake your patience for evaluation. In reality, you may simply be listening. The pattern isn't that silence is intimidating. The pattern is that silence forces people to hear their own thoughts.
Some people soften every opinion. I could be wrong. Maybe. I'm not sure. There is nothing wrong with being careful, but people who have spent years thinking deeply about a subject often communicate differently. They explain their ideas directly, not because they believe they're superior, because they've already done the questioning privately. To someone who is still searching for certainty, that clarity can feel intimidating. Confidence isn't always loud. Sometimes it sounds like calm simplicity. Not everyone enjoys constant social interaction. Some people need quiet to recover. They choose their conversations carefully. They decline invitations they don't truly want. They spend time alone without feeling lonely. Unfortunately, many cultures interpret constant availability as kindness. So when someone protects their time, others may assume they're unfriendly. The reality is often the opposite. People who value their energy frequently give more genuine attention to the relationships they choose. The pattern is this. Boundaries often look like distance to people who aren't used to seeing healthy ones. Some people trust first and evaluate later. Others observe first. Neither approach is automatically better. But observers are often misunderstood. They ask more questions than they answer. They notice details most people overlook. They prefer understanding before reacting. To someone meeting you for the first time, this can feel intimidating. Not because observation is threatening, but because being carefully observed can make people more aware of themselves. Here's what many people never realize. Being perceived as intimidating doesn't necessarily mean you're sending hostile signals. It often means people haven't gathered enough information to understand you yet. First impressions are built quickly. Understanding takes longer. That's why the people who know you best often describe you completely differently from those who have only met you once. The first group has seen your character. The second has mostly seen their own assumptions. There is one final pattern worth remembering. People rarely respond to your intentions. They respond to the signals they believe they see. Sometimes those signals accurately reflect who you are. Sometimes they're incomplete. Sometimes they're simply wrong. You can't control every first impression, and you don't need to. The goal isn't to become someone louder, smaller, softer, or more performative just to make strangers comfortable. The goal is to make sure that the people who stay long enough to know you discover someone warmer than their first assumption. Because first impressions introduce you, but consistent behavior is what defines you. Sometimes the strongest presence in the room isn't created by trying to appear powerful. It's created by being quietly understood.